I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage.
It's Division I football! Go play intramurals, brother. Go play intramurals.
But, you know, I am going to try, and there will be some people inconvenienced. And if it happens to be their fat little girlfriends, too bad.
Twitter, radio.
Yeah, I'd give a rat's ass about Twitter.
Welcome all back to the Jake Big Show. We're heading into week 9 of college football season. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Bake is Here for myself, at Jake Cart for Jake, and at Jake and Bake Show on Twitter. Also on Instagram for myself. And be sure to like, comment, and subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're watching, or if you're just listening on Spotify, be sure to follow the channel. It really does help. It really does mean a lot. And give us your ideas, give us your opinions, give us your takes, what you want to hear from us, what you don't want to hear from us. Not that we're always going to abide by that, because if you don't want to hear me talk about how Lincoln Riley should be on the hot seat, well, you're going to be sadly disappointed when you hear me week to week talking about Lincoln Riley being on the hot seat, which, by the way, he should be on the hot seat. But before we get into it, Jake, damn, have we had some weather down here in Oklahoma. Yeah. I mean, wow, it has been, it's reminiscent of home, northern New York. It's reminiscent of up there in the sense that since Monday, it's Wednesday afternoon right now, Wednesday the 28th afternoon. And since Monday, almost, it's been just nonstop ice rain and ice and melting and icing and freezing. And it's almost like the sky is just dropping needles. It's a boom, 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 you know? Yeah. It's just ice. The branches are falling everywhere. Trees are falling. It's crazy times. And it's definitely not something you guys down here are used to.
No. And if I seem on edge, there was a massive tree that missed this very location I'm sitting in by probably 2 feet. And there's another tree leaning my way. So
we're going to try to get
episode.
Yeah, we're going to try to get this show on the road, get this show wrapped up, give you guys our takes. And Jake's going to be sitting in there stressing. Not only is he going to be stressing about that tree, but he's also still stressing about BYU, I'm sure of it. BYU's creeping up there right behind Oklahoma State in terms of mid-tier teams that might be making the playoffs. Because guess what? We already know what 3 teams are going to make it. It's going to be Clemson, Bama, and guess who came back this weekend? Just guess. Take a guess.
Ohio State.
Damn, that was first guess, dude. First guess. But yeah, Ohio State came back this weekend, and they basically did exactly what I said they were going to do. Have a slow, even though it wasn't even slow. They had a decent first half, a mediocre first half, and in second half, just turned the gears up, went up a notch, and steamrolled Nebraska, just like we thought. Unfortunately, Chris Olave took a heavy hit in the third quarter. He left the game. He is day-to-day. Not day-to-day. He's questionable, or they're uncertain if he will play, but they're optimistic he'll play on Saturday. Saturday is a huge game against a team that took an L this weekend, Penn State. It's the biggest, probably one of the biggest games of our year so far. Well, obviously so far, but like overall, it's going to be one of the top games for us, depending on how Penn State continues the rest of their season after this weekend. But Penn State took a heavy loss to Indiana in overtime. Just the tip they lost by. That guy dove into the end zone in an overtime. They went for it on 2, which is the right call if you're Indiana. You're the dog. You're have the potential to win it with a 2-point play on an overtime touchdown. You got to go for it. They did the right call. They executed it barely. And now Penn State is a 1-loss, 18th ranked team at home hosting Ohio State this coming weekend, number 3 Ohio State. It's going to be a doozy.
Yeah, that was an amazing statement. I love that. Just the tip does count. So
it does count. Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Hey,
you know, that's always been a question.
Hey, you got it in there.
Society.
I mean, they always, for how long do you think they've been asking that question? Does the tip count?
Yeah.
Since Stone Age, maybe?
Yeah.
And it was confirmed. The refs confirmed it. The tip does.
Yeah, they went to review and even reviewed it. And
they
came back and called it.
They deliberated, and the verdict was the tip counts.
Yeah, I think the thing is, dude, is Justin Fields played almost a perfect game. Like Ohio State's rolling. Ohio State's really young in the defensive end or defensive side, not defensive end, but
No, defensive end too.
yeah, that too. But defensive side, you have so many new starters that they were kind of, running around. Probably because we talk about COVID practices and stuff like that, where the Big Ten was sitting there for a while, like not even going to play. So then you get into, okay, well, we are going to play. And then, they're all running around like chickens with their head cut off, like they don't know what the play call is, like all the practices, and who really knows what's going on. I think the thing is, dude, is huge matchup coming up this week, Penn State. I mean, Penn State didn't look great. They didn't look horrible. Like, there's just a lot of mistakes, but
It looked like the first game they've played this year.
yeah.
It was. I mean, we saw that with all the other teams in the week one that the Big 12, SEC, and all those guys had. Is teams came out a little sloppy. I mean, I remember that very first weekend, the only teams that had a blowout were Clemson, Bama, and West Virginia, I believe it was. Right?
Yeah.
It was
just
just
Texas, I think.
Texas, and so like it's and so we see it happening yet again. Is this first weekend? I mean, the teams that aren't Ohio State, you do struggle in that first game just because you're getting the wrinkles out, so to speak. You're getting the wrinkles out. You're figuring out what's working. You're figuring out what you got to do, and yeah, I mean, Indiana. All credit to them. They were able to pull off that win. I obviously didn't think so. I took Penn State -6.5, and there goes that pick, just like about every other one this season. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned it, and I wasn't gonna toot the horn that much either. But Justin Fields, I mean, come on, dude looked unreal. He was like what? I mean, let me pull it up.
He's got to be the favorite to win the Heisman this season. I mean, I think the thing
he was
is
20 for 21, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, his only incompletion was like
the Olave drop.
The Olave drop, exactly, when Olave got rocked and probably knocked out. I'm assuming he got knocked out.
Yeah, he got his bell rung pretty good, but
at least he got his bell rung. He knocked, and then he dropped the ball in the end zone. By the way, it was a perfect pass. It was just he did catch the ball, but he just got hit.
Might have been a hair high. It was a little high, but that's how you're supposed to throw that ball.
Exactly. Yeah. He put it where the receiver can get it. And speaking of where receivers can get it, Tylan Wallace. How did he do this weekend?
Yeah, Tylan did pretty good. I mean,
let's just talk about Oklahoma State, Jake.
Yeah. So we went to the game. We attended, and this was probably one of the biggest weekends for us because of the way Iowa State's schedule is set out and the way we're sitting right now. Like, this could be basically the Big 12 championship down the road. So we went, saw Oklahoma State, Iowa State. It was kind of a sloppy game. That game was very interesting. It didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. I thought it was going to be a little different than that. Our offense is still kind of struggling to try to find their feet. Like, it's Spencer's first game back, and someone pointed out too that this is his first game in 51 weeks that he played an entire game, because in the first week he only played the first quarter, really, like the first drive, and then other than that he got hurt last year in game 8, I think. So it's like, he hadn't played in a full year basically, so this is like his first game, and it's the biggest game of the year coming out, and all that kind of stuff. And our offensive line kind of struggled. I mean, credit to Iowa State. Iowa State's defense is good. Their offense is really good, and our defense played unbelievable. I mean,
I think it was those very, very simple yet like you kind of get that Spencer Sanders. It's his first game back, especially like you said. Now that I didn't even think of that point that he hasn't played in like basically a year.
Yeah.
But there's a certain the turnovers. Certain turnovers where you're just like, come the fuck on. Like, you can't be doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that turnover on your guys' side of the field, basically like the 20 or 35, in between the 20 and 30.
Yeah.
That he gave that, they wouldn't have scored that touchdown.
Yeah.
Iowa State wouldn't have if Sanders doesn't turn that ball over right there.
Yeah.
And it's things like that. But, going forward, especially this upcoming weekend with Texas coming into town up in Stillwater, you guys are hosting Texas Halloween weekend. You do know that you can at least throw in Shane Illingworth. That, when push comes to shove, if that game's close and Sanders isn't getting it done, I hope for your sake, your sanity, and the fan base's sanity, that Gundy puts in Illingworth if things are right to put him in.
Go right.
I think he can't be scared to bench Sanders. You can't have that attachment to him because if he's not playing, look, this is your guys' year. I mean, in terms of the Big 12, like you guys have this opportunity where you don't usually have this opportunity. Usually OU is top of the notch. And that's the only compliment I'm going to give them. Yeah. That's the only compliment I'll give OU. So take it and run with it, Sooner fans, because you guys are delusional. You guys are going to run with that for the rest of your lives. Hold that over my head. But usually they are top of the conference. Then Texas is up there fighting. Iowa State's up there fighting, and then every year or so you got Baylor, TCU, just plug and play kind of deal. And this is your guys' year where you guys are now in the driver's seat. You guys hold the reins basically. Yeah. You win, it's yours. And so with Texas coming up, you need to know that you have to win no matter who's at the helm. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's Illingworth, doesn't matter if it's Sanders. It can't be Bullock. Just put in Sanders or
can't be Bullock. Yeah. If Bullock touches the field, we're in big trouble. Big trouble.
Yeah. If Bullock touches, not Bullet. If Bullock touches the field, you guys might not be in the driver's seat anymore. You guys might not even be on the road. So
at that point, I would just put LB and Chuba back there and run Wildcat.
The thing is you guys just can't be scared to bench Sanders. Gundy cannot be scared to bench Sanders, and that's the biggest thing I think, because he got this one game. He got this game out of the way. You got your little you got your wrinkle game out of the way. Get all those mistakes out of there. Get into practice this week. Tune everything up. Come out firing for Texas and have a big game. I really do hope Spencer Sanders has a big game. I think he has the potential to have a big game because he had not a bad game. He didn't have a great game last week against Iowa State. I think it's a perfect opportunity. Come out against Texas, fire on all cylinders, have a great game, show that you can put away a team that, has a name. Texas ain't good this year, but if you beat them, everyone still will be like, oh, you beat Texas. Oh, Yeah. And so go out, have a huge game, and prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, what's amazing, dude, is I think to this date, the best game Spencer Sanders has probably played is probably Texas last year.
Yeah.
He actually threw a bunch of deep balls, which is kind of crazy for Spence.
And Texas's defense is, they can't tackle this year unless
he did turn the ball over twice last year. And the problem that I have with this game is the matchup is very scary because Texas has the talent. Their defense is atrocious, but the thing about Texas is they're just Texas. So you play them and they have all the 5 stars on the field. Their defense is terrible. Their offense, the matchup, dude. The matchup is Texas is number 1 offense in the Big 12. We're number 1 defense in the Big 12. And it's the matchup is not insanely favorable to us. I have a feeling that we're going to have to score 40 in this game to win.
That's not unreasonable though. Texas can put up numbers too, So that's the thing is your defense. This is going to be a test for your defense now. Your defense hasn't seen. I guess Iowa State's that they are a decent offense, but Texas is a little bit older. They got Shane Illingworth, who, all the naysayers aside and critics aside, he is a decent quarterback that he himself puts points up. He carries that team. He just does. It's just fact. And so you guys are going to have to test against that. And really, I think it's going to be up to your, and we've been saying it all year. It's that offensive line. You give Sanders a few extra seconds, he might not be making those mistakes and creating those turnovers.
Yeah, he's got to be more accurate. The decision making and the accuracy is kind of lacking right now. But that's the thing is, like I said, from day one, if we can throw the ball downfield, we will be successful. Everything else will fall into line. Our run game is good enough. I mean, dude, our wide receiving core is insane. We just haven't been able to really get momentum and throw the ball. I mean, the only time that we did it was Kansas, but it was just such broken coverages. Dudes are running 20 yards wide open, and just Shane just was laying the ball up. I mean, when you get layups, can't say, oh well, the deep offense is so great, But I mean, it's going to be intriguing this weekend.
And kind of a hard segue, but not really, is the receiving. It seems like, I mean, Ohio State has insane receivers this year. I mean, we just got an insane receiving core. We got another receiving core coming in next year. But when you see a top receiver go down, one of the top receivers in the nation right now, probably the best receiver going into the draft this coming, whenever the draft might be. I don't know when the NFL draft's going to be. But Jalen Waddle went down with a pretty serious injury. He's going to be out for the rest of the year. I just thought we should touch on that. That's a huge, they're Bama. It's next guy up. It's going to be next guy up. But that's still a huge loss for them. I mean, Jalen Waddle is insane.
Yeah. The thing is, I like Devontae Smith as a wide receiver a little bit better, but the thing about Jalen that makes it all different is Jalen's the return man.
Yeah.
So now they have to change up their return game, and that's a huge factor for Bama, because that's usually where Bama kills people. Is Bama has so many 5 stars and 4 stars, their whole team is that when you get into special teams, a lot of teams throw their backups and stuff on special teams. Like, if you can't make starting defense, you're out there on special teams on kickoff coverage. And that's where Bama has it in spades, is they're like, oh, well, this dude's a 5-star that's not even a starter, and he's out there on special teams. And then it's like, your special teams is going to be insane when you do that, if you have so much talent on the field like that. So I think that's a big hit to him. I mean, it won't make that much of a difference. I still think Bama makes it all the way to the championship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I still think Bama be in the title game this year.
Who do you think it's gonna be?
I think it's Clemson Bama. As of right now, Clemson Bama are looking like the two teams.
You better hope it's not, because oh, well, I guess that would mean no, whatever. It's not going to be them. It's going to be Ohio State, Clemson. That's just how it is, Jake. I don't really care. So,
yeah,
that's just how it is.
I mean, if you play, but see, well, the thing is Bama would have to play Clemson. What are the odds of Bama and Clemson playing?
They're already 1-2 right now. So
that's what I'm saying, though. 1 and 4.
Well, I think Ohio State will jump. I think
3.
Ohio State will jump.
Yeah. Yeah, well, because see, that's the
if
thing.
If they don't, then you're playing. If you get in and squeak in at number 4, you're playing big boy Clemson. And
yeah,
I've been there, brother. It ain't fun to get your ass fucking your cheeks clapped by Clemson. It ain't fun.
I don't want to play Clemson,
but you don't want to play the other two either.
I would rather play Bama. Out of the 3, Ohio State.
You'd rather play Ohio State?
Yeah, but as of
that's
right now,
disrespectful, Jake. That's very disrespectful.
Sort of, but not really, because if you think
it's
about
disrespectful.
So right now, in my opinion, Clemson's the best team in the country. They're number 1, right?
Again, disrespectful.
Bama number 2, then Ohio State 3. So I gotta
take. If you're going off the AP poll, yeah, but if you're going off the real,
I'm going off the
rankings.
Well, you have to think though too. I'm going off the eye test. I'm going off of Ohio State looked good this weekend, but you played Nebraska.
Didn't miss a pass.
That's true, but
how many passes have Trevor Lawrence missed this year? Quite a few.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like Trevor Lawrence has more options and more weapons, and that's the thing. That's like I was saying earlier. I think Justin Fields will win the Heisman, and Trevor Lawrence won't. I think Trevor Lawrence might be, it's hard to tell if he's a little better or not. But the thing is like, I think Fields is going to get the numbers. I mean, the only thing that I've seen out of any of those 3 teams is that Ohio State's defense is really young. and they got a
Yeah.
lot of young guys there. And
Yeah,
that's
it is. I think
if
we
it-
replaced 7 of the 11 starters.
Yeah.
On the defensive side, I think it is maybe
So,
6,
I
but yeah, I
mean-
mean that's still a significant amount. You're replacing half your starters.
Yeah. So I feel like you're gonna figure it out by the
John
time
Wade
we get
came
there.
back though. That was
but-
huge.
Yeah, I feel like you're gonna figure it out by then. But if we had to play someone tomorrow between Clemson, Bama, Ohio State, I'm taking Ohio State. Like,
What do you think the spread would be against Ohio State, Oklahoma State right now this weekend?
Probably like, dude, that's hard. Anywhere from, it's probably 10 to 14.
I was gonna say 11.5 Ohio State.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
I was gonna say
It'd
probably
be
be about 11.5 Ohio State.
double.
over under
It would
of-
be 2 possessions, but under 3.
Yeah,
Like it'd be in that 2 possession.
yeah.
you
I
know.
agree 100%. Let's move on. I think that's about it for college football. This upcoming weekends are the big weekend. I mean, I feel like there's a few heavy good games. You got Texas, Oklahoma State. You got Ohio State, Penn State game day. That's actually about it that we care about. So we're just going to keep moving on. Let's go on to NFL. Actually, before we get to NFL, let's touch on it real quick. Khabib won pretty fashionably. Going into that fight, did not think he'd win. I think I showed you the video of his weigh-in the day before where he just did not look good. It seemed like he had to cut an insane amount, but that could have just also been water. And once he got the vitamins and stuff in him after the weigh-in, he was good to go because he came out firing in the first 2 rounds. And I feel like that had to play a factor because he came out firing in the first 2 rounds almost as if he knew if it went the distance, he wasn't going to make it, It was almost as
Yeah.
if he knew he had the strength to do it, but he only had the strength to do it for 2 rounds or whatever it was. But he put him away. He put Gaethje or whatever. I think it's Gaethje. He put Gaethje away, and then immediately after 29-0, he said he's going to retire. So Khabib's retired. I mean, it's not a huge deal in our world. I don't know if our viewers or listeners really care about UFC, but I felt like I wanted to mention it.
Yeah.
Khabib has been a
it's
huge
huge.
part about. He's been a huge factor in the UFC world in the last 5 to 7 years. He's been a pretty big, especially in the last 3.
And people argue if he's the GOAT or John Jones or whatever. The thing is like Khabib that's massive. But I mean, I think the only thing about it is it's not shocking. Like the news about it. Like we kind of knew. Like we thought he was going to be retired, but even before this fight, and so even after this fight, it's not anything. I'm not really upset. He's not really. He's still in his prime, but how much longer would he be in his prime? How much jeopardy?
Yeah.
It's just one of those things of like,
Yeah, I mean,
what's the
yeah,
point?
almost
It's
expected and not, but
At this point, it's kind of like Floyd Mayweather boxing again. Like, there's no point really. Like,
yeah,
he has
Which
what
he's probably gonna box again soon. He doesn't know how to stay away. Seems like. But another thing that another small tidbit in the sports world before we jump into NFL, the Dodgers won the World Series last night. Don't really care. I'm glad it's not the Rays because they knocked out the Yankees. And other than that, I mean, that's about it for the baseball. I don't really care. I mean,
Yeah.
if it was a normal season, maybe I would have cared a little bit more just because the Dodgers. I don't know. It's just a weird. It's a
think
weird
the
thing,
Well, the only thing I could say about it is I'm happy for them because I feel like the Stros stole a couple from them. They
100%. They stole a lot
And-
more than just the World Series. They stole signs and
But you know what I mean? Like the Dodgers were there. What was it? Like 3 or 4. So
yeah,
like,
something like that.
so it's like I feel like they just got screwed so many of those times, and
It
then
was-
now
it was almost like
finally they got over the hump.
This is their
so
turn. It's their turn.
So,
And
good for
also,
them.
I had mentioned it on my other show last week that the World Series was going to be interesting no matter what because the Lakers won the NBA title, the Lightning in Tampa won the Stanley Cup. So no matter what, one of the cities was going to have a 2 They were gonna be a 2-champ city, and now it's Tinseltown. It's
Yeah.
Tinseltown. LA is Championship Alley. You got the Dodgers and Lakers. I think it's bigger for the Lakers, just because I feel like the NBA bubble had more realness to it, right? It almost felt like it was.
MLB felt more of like a weird fake season. Like it was just, I don't know.
Yeah,
Baseball
it's also
just
like
felt strange.
Basketball, they did have a season for the most part,
Yeah.
and then they kind of just worked out the seedings for it in a regular season bubble season, and then they just went to the playoffs. Baseball, they tried to do a 60-game season, and then the playoffs, with the playoffs having extra
Yeah,
teams.
it was
So it just
just a
weird.
mess.
I
mean, the only weird part about NBA was that it was just a bubble, but it just one court. Everybody played on one court, but that's you can get over that. But the baseball thing is
it's weird. It's weird. But speaking of basketball and the season and the regular season, I think I saw that they announced they're aiming for a Christmas Day time frame opening. So that'll be interesting. That means we're going to get the free agency and the draft in the next month and a half. And it's going to be all fast paced. It's all going to be, because usually you have 2 months or a month and a half or two, you have usually about a month and a half or 2 months before the NBA draft usually. And then you have free agency, which is an extended time. You're usually just waiting for all these things. That stuff just ended, and now we're gonna get it, and it's all gonna come quick. We're gonna get the draft. We're gonna get free agency. It's gonna be a lot of moves made, trades, signings, all this stuff. It's gonna be a wild fall.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing is I think the thing is most falls are good. It's the winter that kind of really like sports is weird where you do all this stuff all together and then you have these dead periods. I feel like we're not going to have dead spots. We're just going to keep rolling into things. Things get pushed around and,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to get these
24/7 for the next year would be insane. I mean, that's just nuts.
That would actually be pretty cool. We're going to move into NFL, but we're going to just go right into this upcoming weekend's of picks. This past weekend, I didn't feel like it was too eventful. I mean, Kansas City and Denver had a snow game, first snow game of the year. It was actually pretty cool. I was kind of jealous. And then we got ice here. So, I kind of got what I wanted. I got the cool weather. But, and then Tennessee and Pittsburgh was a good game. That came down to a missed field goal by Tennessee to tie it. They didn't tie it, unfortunately. Tannehill had a great game. So, nothing new. Nothing new. You can't say anything different, Jake. Let's look at this upcoming weekends. I'm actually just going to get right into my picks for the NFL. I mean, let's just get right into our picks, Jake. We'll do the NFL picks first, and then we'll go into college and wrap up the show, because I know you're getting a little hesitant with the tree branch right above your head. I know you're probably sitting there wondering what that cracking is. I heard it. So let's get right into it. I'm actually going to go. I took them last week. They didn't cover. I took the Bills last week at minus 13 against the Jets. They only beat them by 8. For some godforsaken reason, they couldn't beat the Jets by 13 points because every other damn team can. But I'm going to ride with them again. Bills minus 3.5 against the Patriots. They're at home against the Patriots. I just think Patriots are in a weird slump. I think they're at a point where, and I could be wrong. Maybe this is the game where they turn it around, but they haven't won a division game yet. They're 0-2 in the division. They're 2-4. I just think this is one where the Bills can easily take that 3.5. Favorite. They're minus 3.5. I think they can easily cover that. I think they're just going to win this game. I think the Bills are the favorite in that division. And speaking of, real quick, you know who the Bucs just signed? The Bucs signed Antonio Brown.
Oh yeah.
Now the thing is they're probably using that as an insurance. If one of their guys goes down due to COVID or something, just plug him in and play him. But if he gets any significant playing time, they're going to be filthy down there in Tampa. They're going to be filthy. They got Wallace, Gronk, hit, and then now Antonio Brown, a couple other guys. It's going to be
Goodwin.
crazy down there. Tom Brady's going to have some lethal threats to be throwing to. But I'm going to take the Bills minus 3.5 against the Patriots. I just think that's a dub for the Bills. I don't think the Patriots are what they once were. Moving on, Jake, this is the one I said you weren't going to like prior to the show. I'm going to take LA Chargers minus 3 in Denver. Your Denver team's just not looking good. And the Chargers are. The Chargers are looking good. So I'm going to take the LA Chargers minus 3. Justin Herbert, he's probably going to get Rookie of the Year. I wish the Giants would have got him I wish he would have came out of college 1 year earlier, and the Giants would have got him. Unfortunately, he didn't, and so now he's in LA living the life. So that's my 2 picks in the NFL. Jake, give your 2 picks in the NFL, and then we'll head over to college.
We'll do I'll do my normal pick. Tennessee Titans minus 5.5 versus the Bengals. The Bengals are struggling. Tennessee's coming off a loss. Like, you figure they got to cover 5 points against the Bengals. Like that, you know. And then, real wild card pick, throwing this out there. I'm taking the Panthers minus 2.5 versus the Falcons.
Oh, brother. That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Wild pick, but I'm taking it because the Falcons, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I've been watching football a long time, and the Falcons just don't make any sense at all.
Yeah, they're a wild team. I don't get them either.
But those are my 2 NFL picks. I got 3 college. You want to
head into college. Kick off college for us. Yeah, kick off college for us.
We'll take the normal. So let's go Kansas State plus 3.5 versus West Virginia. I think K-State and West Virginia those 2 teams are like, they're so close because they both play really good defense. Their offenses are just good enough to squeak by some teams. But, you know, it's back and forth. I don't know. West Virginia's favored 3.5, and I just don't see that. Why 3.5? You know, I think K-State wins by 3, covers by half a point. So it's like, or not even, or, you know, West Virginia can win by 3 and I'd still cover. So I'm taking the K-State. K-State, I need them. They got that win against OU. I need them to do good and just keep spreading that gap, keep that gap going. So I need K-State to do well. And then I'm taking the obvious pick. Just kidding. Texas Tech plus 14 against OU. I'm taking the plus 14.
Oh, I mean, it is in Lubbock. It's Halloween. They're probably going to go. They're probably going to go blackout, right? Are they blacking out their uniform?
Not sure. Have to ask Bach on that one. But
yeah, we'll have to check in on our sources.
But, you know, Lubbock, night game. Like, this game, I think, is probably one of the toughest for OU, like, for a little bit. Because I think they played, like, Kansas or something next week, and they got a bye week. And so they got a lot. So this is probably
soft serve coming up.
Yeah, they got some cushion coming up. So I feel like this is, if I'm going to pick against them, this is the time to do it.
All right, well, I'll go on to my picks, and also we got the game day pick coming up after. So once again, my NFL picks were, I'll recap them at the end actually. So I'm going to go with number 20, Coastal Carolina. I mean, they just broke into the top 25 last week. They're moving on up. They're still undefeated. They're minus 2.5 against Georgia State. Georgia State's not a bad team. They played Arkansas State the other week pretty well. But I just think Coastal Carolina, for some reason, they're just on a roll. They're clicking. They're firing on all cylinders. 2.5. I think I could take that. I mean, I think they can win by a touchdown. So I'm going to go Coastal Carolina minus 2.5. Number 20, Coastal Carolina. I'm also going to go in the top 25 team. Number 15, UNC, North Carolina, minus 6.5 against Virginia. Virginia's just not good. They're just not. And UNC, I don't know. They've been messing around with me. They've been tugging on my heartstrings and whatnot and my gambling strings. And I just feel like 6.5 UNC. This is an opportunity for them to get yet another big win. They could potentially win this game by a lot more than 6.5, I think. And so if they do, this is a good opportunity for them to have that midseason huge blowout game of the year, you know. So I think this is a good opportunity. UNC covers 6.5. And then I don't have any more games, so I'm just going to go right into the game day pick. Game day is Ohio State at Penn State. I think it's 7:30 Eastern, you know, in terms of time frame. It's the night game. They're probably whiting out the stadium at Happy Valley. Ohio State's favored by 12 points, and, you know, I don't just jump off the ship. I'm riding with my boys. Going Ohio State, minus 12 against Penn State. Penn State, you're going to get kicked out of the top 25 here pretty soon. Jake,
Oh,
what you got?
shocking. Well, yeah, I mean, same thing. I mean, dude, it's Ohio State, Penn State. I'm taking Ohio State minus 12. I mean, the thing is like 12's a lot, but Penn State, it's like, you know, I think the question you have to ask yourself, is Penn State really that bad? Or were they just really trying not to show anything and they were just so vanilla that they're like, okay, we're just going to run base stuff to
But then
not show.
it got up to him. It caught
Yeah,
up to him.
catches up to him. And so, I mean, I don't know. I don't think Penn State's that great. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think Penn State somehow, some way, you know, they could be sleeping, but I doubt it. And,
Yeah, I doubt it too. So
and you know, normally this would be homecoming, the whiteout game, like the you'd have
I think
100.
they're still gonna
10,000.
white out. I think they're still gonna white out. I don't know. I haven't confirmed it, but I mean, I just assume so because like what other? I mean,
But
unless
It's
they
still
play
not,
Michigan at home.
you know, it's still not 100,000 in the stadium. It's still not
Yeah.
that momentum. Like, it's a little different. So, just for that, like, Penn State needed everything they could get, and they're not going to get that. So, Ohio
Yeah,
State.
absolutely. All right.
Well-
Well, I'm gonna run through my picks real quick. Let you run through yours. Coastal Carolina minus 2.5. UNC minus 6.5. Ohio State minus 12. Bills minus 3.5. LA Chargers minus 3. That's my picks of the week, Jake. Let's hear yours real quick.
I'm doing Panthers minus 2.5, Titans minus 5.5, Kansas State plus 3.5, Texas Tech plus 14, and Ohio State minus 12.
All right. Well, that is it for this show this week. There wasn't much that's going on. We got actually more going on in our personal lives outside just because of the storm that's going on. We got a lot of things going on behind the scenes. So thanks for watching and thanks for listening. This is the Jake and Bake Show as always. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at The Bake is here for myself, at Jake Cart for Jake, at Jake and Bake Show for the channel, and on the channel on YouTube or Spotify. Be sure to subscribe, follow, comment, whatever it is that can help us out. It really does mean a lot to us. So once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Until next time, peace.